Oh, I guess this is a story time. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I guess the topic is the longest beef I ever had with somebody, but this isn't just somebody. It's an entire family out of like I think it's got to be like almost eight, almost like we'll round it off like almost a decade of just this beef I had with this entire family. So it starts off with I knew every single one of these members here before, and I talked to them briefly, and don't really know them just enough to be like to say hello, being polite, whatnot. And I started dating this girl, and her ex was this guy named Richard. Richard was the very typical emo wannabe. Pretty much had like try to have like the emo hair, but it's really shaggy and kind of greasy. He wasn't most well in L. He was kind of a dork. He had the whole anonymous mask. He was very cringy online. He had like 17 different Facebooks. So he was pretty much a class A annoying piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. But I never bothered with him. I had no beef with him then. It was not my business. It wasn't, my girlfriend at the time during the story was, they were off. They weren't communicating or anything. It was left on a bad note because he cheated on her multiple times. And so basically, he kept making these Facebooks and just messaging me and kind of just annoying me for no reason. And going on about how he had the girl I was seeing at the time's nudes when she was younger. And he was pretty much bragging about it, how he was going to show it off to everybody. And keep in mind, she was like 14 at the time. So he just bragged about having child pornography, pretty much videos, pictures. So uh, we kept blocking him because we just didn't even interact with him. He was just really annoying, and he kept making new Facebooks, or he had previous Facebooks. And he would message me, and then I would just finally just said, if we're just gonna fight, can we just fight? Because I was the person that was like, I would just pretty much like leave it be until it's like if it got physical, then sure, a challenge accepted, whatnot. And he just didn't. Like he just like sure we'll meet up here, and I was waiting there for a good hour and never showed up. Went back home, and he was just talking about how I'm not worth his time and everything else. But I guess I was worth his time throughout the whole making multiple Facebooks and literally every fucking waking minute of my day remind me of all this stupid shit he did to my girlfriend and have her nudes and saying how he did this with her sexually and shit like that just to get under my skin. And all I pretty much had on him was like, well, you're a cheater, dude. What did you expect was going to happen? Or I'm like, you're kind of pathetic having child pornography and threatening to show it to everybody, which eventually he did. He just ended up showing all his friends and people and at school. And keep in mind, we're only at 2 years difference. And uh, so it was like by the time I was like finishing school, he was like halfway through his. And pretty much let the rest. He eventually got a new girlfriend, and he just did his own thing for a bit. But then eventually, when him and his girlfriend broke up, he went back to tormenting me and his ex, which is the girl I'm seeing at the moment in the story. And then his ex decided to join in our friendship circle. We were just talking, getting to know each other and stuff, and the two girls got along. They shared clothes. We were eventually getting close, but then she went back with him after all the shit that he put both of these girls through, and she decided to go back with him because she loved him so much. And then she shared all the whatever was said. to him, and so he had more ammunition to keep bugging us. And so he was pretty much one of those guys that was all talk, no action, constantly just being a fucking troll, like the most annoying piece of shit. And he was threatened to use child pornography, which he pretty much already shared. And so he was one of the lowest pieces of shit I ever seen in my life. After I left this girl and started seeing other girls, he kept being involved with these girls I was already trying to see. So it's like I have no idea what the fuck his problem was with me, but it was pretty pathetic to say the least. And then I think a year later, it was his older brother. He was pretty much these accusations of him was pretty much sexually touching these younger girls, and supposedly he raped one of the girls at like a camp or whatever. And I can't say I believe it, but I can't say I don't. I don't know the facts. I don't know the whole story. Just what I was like I heard or was told. So I didn't really like him anyway because growing up he was kind of like a bully. He was kind of a piece of shit, and he was all talk as well. Never showed up to any fights and stuff. This is not my story. These are people that I heard or my friends in general. So I never really liked them. I know I was dating his ex too, which I didn't even know they were dating before, and he was also like very like him and the girl broke off, but I guess on okay terms where they were still kind of talking to each other. And apparently like he abused her, lied to her, manipulated her, and trying to think what else. Uh, can't even remember, but I guess it wasn't that important. Anyways, he was always playing the pathetic petty cards on her, saying like, "Oh, he's gonna kill himself." This, and he was always trying to cry for her attention, especially in days where we were hanging out or dating or off out on a date and stuff. And he just kept couldn't move on, I guess. But he did move on. He just wanted to keep as much girls he wants around. And like this was a weird guy too. Like he wasn't Southern, he wasn't anything like Texan or anything. He was just like a native that was wearing cowboy boots all day, every day. He had really short hair, but he parted in the middle, so his bangs were not even like halfway down his forehead, and he looked really dorky and weird. And not all about judgment on appearance, but it's like his fashion decisions were off-putting for me for where we are in Canada, New Brunswick. But then more stories kept coming up about him, like fucking his dog and him doing like some weird shit with minors, and stories I didn't want to believe because I thought it was just just stories. But it could be true, could be not. It's just things I heard, and that was like the end of him. His name was Adam, and so they had their younger brother who was Darren. There was a girl I used to grow up with in my neighborhood. We weren't really that close, but all the neighborhood kids were just, a circle itself. He was dating one of the girls I grew up with, and it was her birthday, and this is how it all chain reacted from here. I said happy birthday to her on Facebook because it was her birthday. So did a whole bunch of people did as well, but he had to go out of his way and threaten me to don't talk to his girl, don't wish her happy birthday, stay away. But the thing is, I wasn't hanging out with this girl in the beginning, and I hadn't just said happy birthday to her, and he got really offended, and he started going off. I was going to kill me and beat me up and stuff. So I was challenge accepted, and I said, all right, well, let's fight. If you have an issue with me, let's deal with it. And he said, meet me here. So I met him there, waited an hour, and he never showed up. So I just thought that this guy's words mean fuck all to me. So I ended up just telling her, I'm like, if she needs a place to stay or she needs some help of any kind, that she can let me know. Because he seemed to be a bit controlling and immature. And she said, like, she can't talk to me because her boyfriend won't. So I just respected that, left it be because it was her own wishes, as much as stupid as it is. I left it be, moved on, there wasn't really anything to squash about. Later on, she showed up to my door, and she asked for a place to stay, like a couch to sleep on, but I gave her my bed instead, and I slept on the couch. And she kept talking and crying about how he got her into drugs, and she never did any drugs before, and she did it in um, his basement, where with all his friends, he's always supplying himself from other people with coke and perks and shit like that. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I'm like, this girl's only like 17 years old, or I should remind that I'm 21. I think around 21. Trying to remember the year. I must have been 21 and she was 17 in the story here, and he was 17 or 18, or 17 turning 18, and she was telling me that they've been doing this because they've been together for I think 3 years. It was good at first, but then it got really toxic because he had to build up a persona of being like a gangster. Because on the res, these kids want to be like somebody that our generation or thinks that they're really grew up in like the Bronx and suburban urban areas where they think they're like blacks when we're just natives, but they feel that they need to do is prove themselves to be in the black culture. Not saying this to be racist. It's just, you know what I mean when I say black culture, the music, the style, the mentality uh, of proving yourself. Anyway, I you kept saying that we slept together when we didn't. I was trying to assure him that I was just a place for her to stay for the night, nothing more, nothing less. And he kept calling her a whore and this like just a bunch of names. And then I just told her, I'm like, if she needs more time, I'm like, my place is available. And so she decided to go back and try to make amends with him and fix whatever it was. But then he kept harassing me about how he wants to fight and beat me up, and he's got a group of people. And I said, sure. I'm like, I don't mind fighting. It was a very angry time for me where I didn't really turn down fights often. I wouldn't mind taking down a group of these little wiggers that they thought they were. And so that was three of the brothers. Even the mother got involved because it was like I seemed to be an issue with all three of her kids. And the ages of them, they're got to be 17 turning 18. One was 18, 19, and the other one was my age. The oldest one, I think, was about, I think, a couple months younger, if I remember exactly. And the mother was talking about, oh, I'm the mama bear, this, and you're gonna try to hurt my kids. And I just straight up told them, like, all your kids are all lying to you. I don't know any of your kids personally. I just know the circles were twined up because we knew we had mutual friends, and that's the only connection we had. And she was just going on about how pathetic I am. Just I need to spread lies about their identities, and I'm like, I don't even know half of their lies were true or not. I'm like, if you're that insecure, then maybe there's a borderline truth to the stories that were told. Maybe your kids are pedophiles. Maybe your kids are drug addicts. Maybe your kids are dog fuckers. I don't fucking know. But then I started doing my own digging, and one of my friends was dating this mother. His name is Eddie, and basically he's a stepdad to all of them, and he gets treated like shit by all these kids. And this woman named Diane just lets her kids treat her man like shit. And keep in mind, this woman is a very impulsive cheater. She cheated on all the boys. They all have different fathers, because she cheated on all of them, and she's pretty much the town whore. Like, and she gets around pretty often enough. She's all glam, but she lives in like a shitty fucking place. She's all just face, and it's just one of the fakest people I know around here anyway. So I confronted her about it, and then she just said I was whatever I was hearing from my resources was a liar and shit like that. But the resources I had that she didn't know was the guy that she was seeing. And the fucked up part of it all is that a couple of months later he he killed himself, and he left a note, and and most of his closer friends know that why he killed himself. He was a troublesome man that battled a lot of his demons. He wasn't the most, best guy around, but he was not the most awfulest one either. He was decent. I wouldn't say he was level-headed. He had a lot of mental issues of his ex-wife and like his kids that didn't want to see him, and the stepchildren that all treat him like shit, and then his the woman that he was seeing was just cheating on him, and so he thought his life was miserable and he put an end to it. And that's the part that kind of pushed my buttons. I'm like, I pretty much made a big post on Facebook about it, how fucked up this family is. And I got a lot of hate, but I got a lot of support at the same time, which most comes in Facebook posts. The hate was just like other family members saying that I don't know shit. And the other support was that I knew what I was talking about because the people that were supporting her was the ones that said it, that were involved in it. That this woman let all her children do drugs in her basement, and she knew about it. The cocaine, the perks, fuck, she was even doing it with her own kids, and between the ages of like 14 all the way till 18 years old, or even like 19, 20, because I think some of them are still living there. She was doing that with them. And not only that, their girlfriends and friends were getting involved, and she was also knowing that they were in that basement doing all that shit down there. And uh, her oldest son being like charged for being a rapist, that didn't fall through because of the lack of evidence. But I mean, that's gotta say something if there was going to be a trial. And then your fucking other kid having child pornography, and it's not just like me saying it, it's your kids' family and your like their friends saying this shit. And so she tried to make it out like, oh, this never happened and stuff like that. But then I brought up the fact that Eddie killed himself because all of you people were fucking sick. Like, you fucked up. And then she was going on about how I didn't know anything, that she wanted me to take the post down, and she started deleting comments because all these comments were, under her comments, were saying like, Diane, you're a fucking terrible mother because we all know the shit you did with your kids. We all know the things that your kids done, and you keep justifying it. And then she kept deleting comments because that way we didn't get to see what she said, because she kept putting her own foot in her mouth. And eventually, like, I guess she got enough people to take the post down, because the post, I was not Facebook banned, but like warned on Facebook that they deleted it. And so there was like, that's the case that was left in the end, was just that. And she started spreading out like random rumors because of my family, that I'm not really involved with my family on both sides. I'm like, I pretty much just have my grandma, and that's pretty much it on my side. On my father's side, I don't have any. Haven't seen them or gone across to get to know them or anything, because my father walked out when I was 2, and I was in foster care for a long time. So I just thought my father's side was they're all still a mystery to me. But that, she was going on about how my family on my father's side were a bunch of pill poppers and alcoholics, and I just told her that it might be true. I don't know. I don't know them. And she said that on my mom's side that we're all retarded and have anger issues and alcoholics and like rapists. And I'm just like, probably. I'm like, my grandfather was charged for molesting her $3, well, his $3, and I would say I've probably seen a few alcoholic um, things, but she doesn't know anything about me to the point where she thought I was socialized with both sides of my family when I was in foster care and I didn't have neither side of my family. To her to throw that stone at me, saying that I'm just like my family when I didn't have the influence to. By the end of it, I ended up just giving it a rest and break because what I said did get through. A lot of people saw the support and confronted her about it, and she's just deleting everything in evidence. And so by the end of it all, she just had pretty much a family of, if the stories are true, bestiality, drug addicts, child pornography, and rapists. Due to her um, decisions making over time, being a very neglectful mother, because that was the biggest thing that Eddie was saying, that he was a stay-at-home dad because Diane was constantly gone, either to work or with her little girlfriends or even maybe her fucking misters that she was cheating with. And I lost a friend because of that family. I'm sure it's not like entirely their fault. Like I said, he had a lot of demons going, but I'm sure this family didn't help. He wanted a new start and pretty much made the wrong decisions and invested into this group of fucked up people. And so I just wanted this story to be told because this was the biggest beef I ever had for the longest time with a family, and I lost a friend too. And I wish I got to know him a bit more. And but clearly he was in a lot of pain, and sometimes I always say that sometimes people try to die to live. So thank you for listening.